Hey everyone, welcome back to Josh of All Trades. I'm Josh, and today I'm going to show you how to face your blacksmithing hammer. Today's video is going to be a little Ave-esque. I just bought this blacksmithing hammer from Blacksmith Supply, and it is a Swedish crosspeen. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy open here. Things and a magnet. Time. For a blacksmithing hammer, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration. This is something that you can buy from Blacksmith Depot, is where I got this one. It's a Pettinghaus, Swedish, 1,000 gram, about 2.2 pound crosspeen. I wanted to do this because I thought it would be a good video to do for people who want to get into blacksmithing and really understand what it takes to have a good hammer. Not sure if you'll be able to see this or not. Let's see if you can. Alright, so you see how there's kind of like a chamfer right here? It's a bevel. It's not rounded off. Same on the peen. What that does is as you work the metal, if you hit it at an angle, you'll leave a really fine crease in your material, and what happens as you forge it out, that crease will fold over and you get what's called a cold shut, where it doesn't forge weld back to itself. It just turns into a hand forged crack, which can then propagate and then break, and it's a sad situation to be in. And I'm going to show you what you can do to the face. Essentially what we do is we put it on the grinder on the slack side and we just round these off. You don't have to put a huge radius in, you just have to take the sharp edge off. Once you do that, you can hit it at an angle and it'll put a nice round dent that you can then forge out as you go. The next thing you need to do is the handles come coated in something that's supposed to give it more grip. What I've found I like, and people can be different, is kind of a smoother handle that doesn't have quite the grippiness that this has, because you want to keep a nice loose grip and you want it to be able to move in your hand as you're forging. You don't want it to fly out of your hand, but at the same time you don't want this really tacky stuff, because you'll end up with a bunch of blisters on your hand, and that's no fun. So essentially what we do is we scrape the handle to get this off, and then what I do to make it look neat is I come back through and I burn it and then sand it smooth, and that's how I use all my hammers. And so let's go ahead and set up the grinder and we'll go ahead and face this. Okay, so I kind of lied. I'm not going to fire up the grinder just yet. I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate the issue with having hard corners like this on your hammer. So I'm going to fire up the forge, and I'm going to give this just mild steel some hits, and I'll show you what kind of marks it leaves on the steel as you forge. So I'm going to fire up the forge and you'll see why we want to dress our faces of the hammer, not your actual face. Alright, got it hot. We're going to hit it, and then we'll hit it with the peen. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it. Let's do a couple more hits just to... And I'm purposely hitting at an angle so that it leaves the marks, but you can see already we've got straight lines, very straight, very fine lines that are happening in the metal, and especially like right where the peen corner hit it, it essentially just cut a straight line into it. So if I were to continue forging, I would actually flatten the high spot over top of the low spot and create a cold shut. And what that would do is essentially make a crack that would be able to perpetuate through the entire piece and cause problems later on down the road with forging. So I'm going to heat it back up and I'm going to show you on the hammer I made that's nice and round, what kind of marks it leaves and how easy those are to cover up. Alright, here's my hammer. It's got nice rounded faces everywhere, so I can hit at an angle and it'll leave a line, but it's a rounded line, so it's not going to be unrecoverable, so I could continue sitting here forging. That's really cool. But you can see the mark that I made in this corner is already gone, and these ones are going away as I hammer. It got a little cold, but whereas you can see as I hammered on the back side, the front side got flat, and you can still see those lines from the blows I made with the untreated hammer. And so what I'm going to do now is go back through with this hammer and reface it and go ahead and dress the handle and burn it and all that fun stuff. So we'll pick up at the grinder. Actually, we'll pick up when I start scraping the handle. Alright, so now that I've demonstrated how detrimental the sharp edges can be to your forging, what I'm going to do is just take a knife and scrape this varnish off. This is nice. Some people like it, some people don't. I found that it gives you blisters, and one of the blacksmiths at a local blacksmith club told me, you know, scrape that off and the hammer will work better in your hand. This one, it's a little girthy, so to speak. I'm not sure if I'll like it, but I'll give it a shot and see if I need to thin it down at all. But I'm going to go ahead and start scraping this. So now that you've got a sore hand and made a mess of your workbench, I just used a mild steel dull knife that I practice knife making with, so I didn't have to worry about ruining my edge or anything like that. It's just mild steel, and yeah, you just drag it across, and eventually you just peel away the coating on there, and you're left with, for the most part, bare wood. The next step from here is to sand it to get it nice and smooth. I won't be able to get past all of these little marks here, so that'll still be there. But next I'm going to hit it with sandpaper, start with 80, maybe end with 120, and then we'll burn it. So I actually started with 120, fresh sheet of 120, and it went pretty quick. Fairly consistent all the way down the hammer handle. So now is onto the propane, and we'll burn it. so the next step, now that you got it burnt, it will be warm, so just be aware you did just set it on fire. We'll go back over it with the sandpaper, and so you burn it darker than you want it, you sand it lighter than you think you like it, and then when you coat it with boiled linseed oil, it darkens up real nice. So next part is sanding. So I went ahead and did a finish pass with 320 grit just to smooth everything out just a little bit. It's a little rough spot right here. That's fine. Alright, so yeah, smooth it out with the 320. I sanded it lighter than I wanted, but once I add the boiled linseed oil, it'll actually darken up really nice. So I've got that here, and we'll do that next. There we go. This is the best part. There we are. There you have a fully dressed hammer handle. The next thing will be to dress the face. And I'll coat it a couple of times until it stops taking in all the oil. But yeah, essentially, ta-da! That is your fully dressed blacksmith hammer handle. That way you can minimize blistering as you forge. So now I'm going to set up the grinder here, and we'll go ahead and face our hammer faces. Alright. Okay, so what we're going to do, I went ahead and put a worn out 220 grit belt on here, and we're going to use the slack side of it so that we're not actually like bumped up against anything. But all we're doing, we don't want to remove a bunch of material, we just want to round this out. Different people like different radiuses. That's up to you, or radii. That's up to you. You get to decide what you like and what you don't like. So all I'm going to do is just come in here and just kind of rock this around on the slack side of the belt and make that nice and rounded off on the corners, and keep the face as it is. We're going to do the same thing on the peen. Going to come through here, and then going to come through this way, and also do our corners and our sides as well. So here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have a problem. My name is Josh, of all trades, and I like shiny. I noticed that when I took the hammer off of the belt grinder, there must have been a rougher spot on one of the belts because the face was nicked pretty bad. So I resorted to hand sanding, and I just don't know when to stop. And that's what I ended up with. You can see the GoPro. That's the face, and that's the peen. You see, I don't know if I... There you are.
I started at 120 grit. I ended at 3000 plus polishing and buffing, and it was downhill from there. So essentially, here is the completed blacksmith hammer. It has way overkill on the face, but it is nice and round and smooth. Um, the handle has been scraped, sanded, burnt, sanded, and oiled, and now it is ready to use. I'm ready to make that very pretty shiny face on the hammer get all dinged up with hammer usage. So anyhow, I hope you guys liked it. That's an overkill way to dress your blacksmith hammer. Really, as long as you don't have any big scratches on your face of your hammer, that's all that really matters. You don't have to take it up to a polish. I have no self-control, so that's what I did on this one and all my other hammers. I just like the way it looks whenever it's shiny. It won't stay that way as you use it, obviously. You will mar it up and smudge it and all that good stuff. But it definitely has a much cleaner face than it did when I got it. The edges are definitely a lot smoother. There's no scuffs on the surfaces, so there's nothing but force and flat surface being input into the metal that I'm working on. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to like this handle. Right here it feels pretty good, but if I want to get kind of more finesse with it and get just a little bit closer, it's really fat. So I may not like that in the long run. If I don't, all I'll do is thin it down and resand it and reburn it. But anyhow, hope you guys liked it. My next few videos of blacksmithing will be of me using this hammer and trying to figure it out. Hope you guys enjoyed and hope you learned something. Take it easy.